Georgia versus Ohio State. The biggest news there, the Buckeyes are not coming in with one of their nuclear weapons in Jaxon Smith-Njigba, a breakout star this time last year, going into the Rose Bowl, Ohio State, Utah. Smith-Njigba puts on like a T.O. mini Moss type of performance, over 300 yards as the number 3 receiver in that Rose Bowl performance. Just a breakout deal. I thought he was the best football player coming into the season. Gets nicked up and hurt against Notre Dame. We don't really see him for the rest of the season in a major role. Just announced that he's not going to be playing. Hack, I'm gonna start with you. I thought it was a little suspect because every time Ryan Day was asked, or Stroud, or anybody was asked in these last week or two, what's up with Jaxon Smith-Njigba, it was such a vague answer. Well, we got to see where it's at. You're around him every day. Is he limping? Is he on crutches? Is he jogging? Are you guys playing ping pong in the bill? Like, what's he doing? Is he going to play? No one knew. Now we know. Hack, I know this is, near and dear to you. What's your thoughts about Smith's decision?
So kind of two-pronged, right? Like part of me says I can't blame the kid, and we all know how tough and lingering hamstring injuries can be, especially for a receiver and what they're tasked to do on a rep-to-rep basis. So there's part of me that says, hey, man, like, go ahead, protect it, do what you got to do. But then there's that other part of me, call it old school, call it what you want. But it's like, listen, man, like, I got a chance to come in and win a national championship at Ohio State. Like, I got a chance at the dance. I got a chance to get some revenge at Michigan. I haven't really had a chance to impact the games and the season the way I may have wanted to heading into it because of injury. I got a month right here to get right. I need 20 good reps. If I give this team 20 good reps over the course of these next 2 games, I could be a difference maker in us playing and winning a national championship or not, because I really do think that's how impactful this kid is, right? So there's part of me that's a little disappointed in that. But again, it's so hard to call it, right? Like, the economics of college football have changed as well since the previous kids who've held out. Like, realistically, Jaxon Smith-Njigba could probably come back next year and make, especially if he plays and wins a national championship, $1 million next year, right? Which, again, compared to what he would probably make where he's going to get drafted, is nothing. But still, financially, there's not as much risk in playing these games as there was in the past, in my opinion, with what you can and can't do out of it. So it's hard, man. It's a clash of two kind of styles. Part of me says I can't blame the kid, and then the other part of me is like, man, like, it's a national championship. You said it, George. Like, this ain't the Cheez-It Bowl. This is the national championship run that you could be part of, and that's something you'll never get back, right? But he had to make the decision, and I respect the kid's decision because he's the one that has to do it, right? And he's got to live with it, and that's cool. But I mean, my Buckeyes pick was a little bit riding on this, I'm not going to lie, from the other night, because I think he's that impactful.
Trevor, a whole lot of people's Buckeye picks were riding on him, but we just saw this blueprint last year. Jamison Williams, another former Buckeye receiver, goes to Alabama. He's playing late in the postseason, tears his ACL, but he still gets drafted in the first round, and he's still out there playing. And he's still got the bag at the end of the day. I thought that model might change some athletes' minds, but really it's kind of to each his own, and whoever the advisors you're listening to. Trevor, what's your take on what you heard up there in Columbus?
I think you just hit it on the head right there. It's what their agent, their parents are them and telling them in their ear. That's what's changed the most last 5, 6, 7 years, is that the message coming from your counsel, your God, is, hey, you can't screw this up. You got on it. Whereas when we were coming through, and everybody before us, Hack mentioned it, have changed. Man, all I want to do is a championship ring on my finger in high school, and then all I want to do is go and hoist it and win a national championship. I don't care about let my teammates down. I'll go do this. And it was really like, it was Christian McCaffrey is one of those pokes out of my head. I was like, don't agree with what he's doing because I'm like, stay bought in. But a guy not going to play for it all, I could start to make sense because you have a big name guy like starts to snowball, and now it's risk versus reward. To your point, you got to because it's his decision. I hope that if I was in that position, I would want to go hoist a trophy. But I also wasn't facing the opportunity to make millions of dollars in months, right? I mean,
Yeah.
To put yourself in those shoes.
I remember when I was gonna say when Hack did that. I remember when McCaffrey did that. Stanford was down in like West Texas, messing around in the Armadillos, versus the, Cavender Boot Bowl or something like that. And he went to David Shaw and he said, "Listen, a running back, I'm this close, winds up being a top 10 pick, winds up being often injured in the NFL anyway, but I thought he made the right decision, Hack, because you up here playing for a couple bags of potato chips at this bowl game. That's not the case for Jaxon Smith-Njigba. That national championship ring, and you're still gonna, like this. But I always said the asterisk is unless you're playing for a national championship. Now he is, but they still,
And here's the other thing too, and this is the point that I want to hammer home is that these kids now have a chance to still make life, like realistically speaking, dude, life-changing money in college, right? Like we're talking about life-changing money on NFL contracts, right? Like $20-30 million, dude. Like that's nuts. Like when you actually sit here and think about it, you're handing a 20 to 21-year-old kid $20 to $30 million. Like if that kid made $1.5 million, do you know how much of a head start they have on anyone else, right? And they have the ability to still make that had they come back to school next year with this NIL world, and especially at a place like Ohio State, and especially, like I said, if you help them win it. So, like, we're talking about two totally different levels. And then your example of Jamison Williamson is insane because he did tear his ACL and still got drafted in the first round, still got his bag, and he's cool, right? And he's going to play and he's going to be fine because he's got the best doctors rehabbing him, so on and so forth. So, to your point, it's just really hard for me. And I think what Trevor was saying, like I as an athlete, I respect the kid's decision, but it's really hard for me with all of those other factors now. Like you have a built-in insurance policy on top of probably the insurance policy you already have purchased for injury and disability and what that affects on your draft stock. And it's a national championship.
Yeah.
That's it for me. You know
that's
what I mean?
The question. That's the question that I would be asking. All right, I'm gonna make a decision, but once my playing days are make $1 million, $100 million, or $1 billion, I'm gonna be able to sit in my rock wearing a gold jacket, a nice little, down from Old Navy, sit there and think, man, I'm okay with the decision to play for a national championship and all my brothers to that trophy. If you're okay with that, then make a decision and run with it.
Yeah.
I think that you're going to regret ever. I don't agree.
Here's the other factor. Obviously, we won't know. It'll probably come out later. What's the relationship like with him and Ryan Day, and with him and his receiver coach, Brian? I forget Ohio State's
Carson.
receiver. No, Sky. Trevor, if you're there, you can help us out. But what's the relationship in the building with your coaching staff? Harline. Brian Hartline. Right. What's the relationship with them? Has it frosted a little bit? Have they, like, at one point they had to be celebrating this guy as this is the alpha dog in the building, and now all of a sudden, off of a hamstring, Hack. I mean, it's a hamstring. I'm not going to diminish it. I don't have his injury.
Right.
A broken leg is a clear-cut thing, and a ligament tear is a clear-cut thing. Like you said, they have the best everything there in terms of support. So then the next step has to be his feelings toward them. Do I feel compelled to do this for them? Do I feel compelled? Do I feel like you believe in me enough to step in and support you? You know
I
those
mean-
dynamics. You guys have been in buildings when guys are like, fuck this dude over here. I'm not doing that for him.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, for coach, I got you. Yeah, I got you 20 plays. Let's go get this.
But let's keep it a bean though. I mean, he was the third guy last year. So like I'm not gonna sit here and say like he almost owes it to him. But like I don't think anything would have changed drastically throughout this entire process to where like he wouldn't have the same amount of respect that he probably had for both of those individuals in Ryan Day and the Hardline that he did previously and up until now. Like I don't think that relationship would necessarily change, to be honest with you. I really do think that this is a straight, and you know what the other thing is, I mean, soft tissue, George, like who knows, right? Like he may not be ready to go.